County. This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello and welcome to HealthLink, a program connecting home, community, and healthcare. My name is Carol Merton, and today I have two guests on the program. Brooke Thompson, who is a health promoter for Grey Bruce Public Health, and Amanda McManaman, who is a public health nurse in the school program. And the topic we're going to cover today has to do with tips for quitting smoking. Now, just before the program, Brooke brought to my attention that we've just gone through the National Non-Smoking Week, which was January 18th to 24th. And I'm here to say it's never too late to think about quitting smoking, and we're going to get some hints and some tips about that today. So welcome to both of you. And again, thank you for being on the program. So you've kindly given me some questions, and I'll encourage you to pass it back and forth. Whoever's got answers, pipe up. But basically, I'm very interested to know about the statistics regarding how many people report smoking and also vaping, and whether you can give us the Grey Bruce statistics or will you be giving us general? So who wants to take that one to begin with?
Sure. So I'm going to start things off. And one thing we do like to do is just when we're talking about smoking and tobacco is acknowledge the difference between sacred tobacco and commercial tobacco. So we just want to be respectful. And like when we are talking about tobacco, it's the commercially sold and manufactured, with lots of chemicals that are in there and very harmful to our health. But for many First Nations, tobacco is considered a sacred plant with immense healing and spiritual benefits and often used in ceremony and giving thanks. So just like to mention that as well. But yeah, tobacco use remains a really important issue. It's a significant cause of premature death in Canada, with about 46,000 people dying from tobacco-related illnesses every year. So still serious, even though we've seen declines. And currently about 11% of Canadians report daily smoking, with about 13 using any type of tobacco products. So that could be chewing tobacco or other products that are available. But in Grey Bruce, even though we've seen those drops, it seems like over the last several years, we're still seeing rates like in between 16 and 20% of people who are smoking daily. And obviously newer to the scene, we've seen the issue of vaping come about. So it's affecting a lot of youth. And youth smoking rates have dropped in Ontario. They're like about 3%, which is great, and sometimes barely reportable. But the issue of vaping has really become an issue for youth. So about 13% of youth in Ontario report vaping, and that's kind of in the past year. But we noticed too in grade 8, it starts at about 5%. But as students get older and into those older years of high school, we really see that kind of pick up to almost 22% of 12th grade students. So it might be like that they're coping with different things, or that's the products are available to them, number of issues. But yeah, that's kind of the landscape so far of what we're seeing.
Yeah, I have a question, Brooke, if you don't mind me jumping in. So you're saying that smoking is going down, but vaping is going up, with particularly in youth. But
yeah, since about 2018, vapes really came onto the market, and we saw quite an influx, and it's kind of, we think, stabilized and hopefully dropping. We'll get another report in the fall from Ontario Student Drug Use and Health Survey. So hopefully we'll see some progress on some lower rates there.
Any reasons that you can say why the shift? I mean, I know public health has done so much education about smoking and the risks, but anything you might wish to speak to about why the trend is changing over?
Yeah, I think Amanda and I were discussing this about how people, we think, have really gotten the message over the years. There's been so many things done to work on, lowering those smoking rates. And that's where we see a lot of the gains in reducing tobacco use. But but these vape products came out on the market. They really, when they first came out, there wasn't a lot of laws or regulations to stop the advertising or put controls on them. And we still see that as an issue. Like there's a lot of flavors in them that are really appealing to youth. Thousands of flavors, in fact, that are sometimes available. The availability of them is there, and they have high amounts of nicotine. So we've seen some, laws or regulations trying to bring down the nicotine amounts in the products. And we would, if there's been some talk of a flavor ban from the federal government, but we still watch and wait for that because that could probably really, change how those products are viewed by youth. Flavors often make things seem a little bit more fun, a little less harmful, and these vapes are, they have chemicals that are heating up the product, and we do see some health effects from them. So,
yeah. Thank you. Thanks for that. So as we go through the tips and hints for quitting smoking, that applies to cigarettes and vaping as well? Like it'll be for both, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely relates to it.
I just want to be sure I'm right on topic here.
Yeah.
So how many people are trying to quit? How do you know who's trying to quit and how many people are trying to quit?
Yeah, so actually, there was a report just released in the last few weeks about the progress made in Canada. It's called On Canada's Tobacco Strategy. And that noted that about 300,000 Canadians who had smoked in 2023 quit smoking in 2024. So that's about 8% of all people who smoked just in that time frame. So it's kind of giving us a snapshot that people are interested in quitting and some are having success. And for those age groups we were just talking about, for the general population who are 15 and over, about just over 30% made at least one quit attempt that lasted at least 24 hours in the past year. So there are still people looking to quit, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the challenges with that. For youth vaping, many youth and young adults are reporting trying to quit. So it's not something, maybe they're recognizing it's an issue and they want to cut down or they don't want to experience the health effects. But yeah, about 60% for both groups have reported trying to quit in the previous 12 months when they were surveyed.
And that's helpful to know. And I know we're going to talk next about the challenges to quit and, how do people become successful? I just have a question around where we are in space economically. We know these products cost money, and we know generally people are struggling more and more to buy food and to keep a roof over their head. Do you anticipate the economic challenges either making people more motivated or making people more apt to use cigarettes or vaping because of the stressors of the economics? I'm not sure that's a fair question, but I'd be interested in your answer.
I'll step in. I can't say I've looked at any literature around the economics of it, but what we do know, and I primarily work with youth in high schools who may come to talk to me about usually about vaping, and some are already wanting to make a change and quit. We do talk, I ask them lots of questions, but one of them is, how do they get them, and how do they have money for them, and what does that look like? And, I see a mix. I hear from youth who have jobs and have disposable income, right? And so that, does help them to be able to purchase these products. And then I also see youth who don't have jobs, but, have money for lunch, and they use it sometimes for buying vapes as well. So, and in terms of why, from what I hear and what we know in terms of youth, of why they start vaping is often different than when of what keeps them vaping. So some reasons youth start to vape, and it may be similar for adults too, but for youth anyway is around for some curiosity, because they may have seen these devices, their slick designs, which attract youth, and want to see what it's about. These flavors that Brooke mentioned briefly can be attractive to youth. So a policy change around flavoring could definitely impact the interest in these products, but also to manage stress. So I would think we would all have some stress, and youth definitely do as well. And so I hear from youth that I see that they started it to kind of manage stress, although by the time I'm talking to them or they've come to me, I think they've realized that it has not helped with their stress. In fact, it probably has made it worse. So, yeah, those are some of the impacts.
Thanks. I appreciate that perspective because, more and more economics can be drivers for a variety of things, actually. So tell me about the successes and how is it that some are able to be successful, and what are some of the challenges to quitting?
Yeah, for sure. So, whether you're smoking or vaping, and I think today we're probably going to talk about both, just because people are doing one or the other or both, dual use, we call it. So, quitting, can be challenging for a lot of people. And so we know that preparation is important and can make the journey of quitting a bit easier. Regardless of the goal, if your goal is to cut back or to quit, it definitely preparing ahead of time can build your confidence and really help you believe that you can do it. Change is a process, and part of process is that there's setbacks, and that's the norm. We look at it like that's the norm, not the exception. So we anticipate when we work with people, and for me, youth in this situation, to work on quitting. We prepare by talking about it, and start to understand and help the young person understand what their habit looks like, where vaping or smoking fits into their life, like day to day. So school days, weekends. I think at one time, or maybe there's some that still believe it's about willpower alone, and we know that, the likelihood of being successfully quit increases with every attempt when people are prepared and when they learn how to manage their cravings and anything that kind of triggers them to want to vape or smoke. Yeah.
So for you also would be patient and have to be patient, recognizing that there may be numerous attempts before they are successful. And that's a messaging that you share. So being prepared is step one, and knowing what triggers you to smoke or vape is part of the learning. And once people get to the point that, okay, I'm ready to make this change, they pick a date, right? Should they tell everybody, I'm going to quit smoking on this date?
I definitely think that there's value in sharing, with your friends and family, those people who you think are going to support you through this change, this journey. And those may be people who you may lean on in the process to help you through those challenging times. So telling them that, this is what your goal is, and choosing a quit date, the date that you want to be smoke-free or vape-free it helps to make you more accountable to that as well. But also to those people you share that with, sharing with them how they can help you, what will help and what won't help. I hear from youth who, there are times, it's so visible in for some youth in their friend group, their friends, they may be wanting to quit, maybe some of their friends or acquaintances when they're at parties aren't ready to quit. And so while we talk about, okay, how are you going to go to a party and not vape if that is what you're seeing around you, but they don't share your goals. So definitely that's where leaning on friends to help to tell them what will help you in those situations that may be just more challenging.
So almost preparing a strategy, like an action plan,
Yes.
um, by naming what the triggers might be, and
Yeah.
then what are you going to do? Now, I noticed in some of the information there are other triggers. I'm wondering if you can share a few others just for someone who may be listening in who are watching the program and wanting to know what they can do. What other triggers would there be?
I would say it's very individual. So, I mean, again, the value of working, what increases success in the journey, not only having a plan and preparing about what kind of ways people quit and what you might work for you, but also accessing either self-help resources, or there are services which I think we will talk about at some point on the show, that are quit specialists that can work with you to identify your triggers. That can all increase success in being quit. But so for this is just some of the things I hear and read about in terms of triggers. So if you smoking or vaping can become so ingrained in your day to day, just how your habits, your routines. So looking at that is important because that is where you're going to identify triggers. So if you typically have a morning coffee and have a cigarette with that or vape, are you going to quit coffee or are you going to continue with coffee? And if you're so used to, whether you even realize it, having a cigarette or an e-cigarette, with that coffee, how is that going to change? Are you still going to enjoy coffee? Do you feel like you need to change that routine? Stress is one, I think, for a lot of people, for both cigarettes and vapes. Just thinking that doing that will help and will help manage their stress. And there are the impact of nicotine and what it does on the body. It can provide in that immediate period some reward, the release of dopamine. Overall, though, it also increases your heart rate and your blood pressure. So those feelings of stress, that's why we talk about, yes, there may be some benefit, perceived benefit of people that it helps with their stress, but what we know is that it doesn't. Other triggers, again, in terms of stress, what are things that stress you? Is it exam time for youth? Is it change a relationship that's changed, a breakup, for example? Certainly the influence of advertising, or being around others, or living in a space where you live with others who smoke or vape in that space. Those are like smelling it, talking about it can be a trigger.
Yeah.
So again, it's very individual. And I really encourage people to, when if they're thinking about quitting, to look into what's available to learn about quitting, to creating that quit plan, which would identify some of those triggers, and then identify solutions to those triggers that may be inevitable. You may be able to change some aspects of your routine and day, but some you may not be. An example of that is in your workplace. You may be so used to taking a break with others who also vape and smoke, and you have to take breaks at work. So what are you going to do different during the work break that that you're not going to feel pressure or feel that you need to smoke or vape?
That is really helpful. Now, I want to talk a little bit about cravings, but just to make sure that we get in the resources before the program is over, I'm wondering if you could talk about what's out there for someone who wants to get more help, or maybe we could talk a little bit about the resources. And then if we have time, I'd like to come back to what do you do if you have a craving?
Sure. I feel like I've been talking a lot. I don't know, Brooke, do you want to tackle this one?
I could mention a few things. So, in our local area, there's a number of ways, things that people can access. First, we do encourage people to talk to their healthcare provider or maybe the pharmacist, just as a resource. A number of the family health teams, if people are patients there or clients, do offer something called the STOP program, which offers up to 26 weeks of free nicotine replacement therapy. So I know we'll probably get into that a little bit too. Which can support people in their quit attempts. A lot of evidence around that. The other thing is there's a few, we mentioned maybe Smokers Helpline. They have an online platform and resource, and people can text there. Now, phone support is through 811 now, which is a provincial resource. But both of those can offer different tips, or an online community. The Smokers Helpline can offer people. There's people on there probably sharing their stories or tips, tricks on different things, and a lot of different resources. There's also something called Talk Tobacco, which is an Indigenous service to Canadian Cancer Society as well. So it offers culturally appropriate information about quitting and smoking, and it does have a phone support line in a number of languages, which is really great, and that's all free. And there's a couple of online programs. One's called stoponthenet.ca, so people can go to that website and log on, put their information in, and then actually get packages of NRT mailed right to their home. So that'll depend on how much people are smoking, and that's only for smoking, not vaping. And then there's also Ottawa community model. So people can call that line and also get products mailed to them. We do have all of this on our website, and there's also a website called don'tquitquitting.ca, which lists a lot of these resources. And that's also a main message. We don't want people to give up on quitting, just keep trying.
Yeah.
So it's a really great resource. But yeah, our local website at Public Health, greybruce.on.ca, we have a number of things listed and some resources on making your quit plan. And if you really are not sure, you can call in and you'll probably get me to talk to you, and we can navigate through those resources.
Yeah. And that's so important. I know we've just got a couple more minutes left in the program, but the messaging I'm hearing is don't quit quitting. Just, you just keep at it and keep at it. Make sure you have a plan and a strategy, and recognize you are going to have to modify things, perhaps just to help you. Talk to people who can support you. In the last little bit of time, what if the craving happens? What are some tips around what do you do if you got a craving?
So I would say the cravings or withdrawal is definitely inevitable. And so for some people, it's worse than others, just the feelings of it. So, your brain's used to getting nicotine, and when you're making a change, when you're cutting back or removing it, it's got to adjust, right? So, we talked about the plan and behavioral supports, we call it, and self-help resources or connecting to a cessation program, whether it's Smokers Helpline or Stop on the Net. But nicotine replacement therapy is, a really can be a valuable tool for people to use to help with managing the cravings until they can manage them on their own. Cravings come and go, and some of it's distraction and delaying to get through that minute of strong cravings. But there's long-term or long-acting nicotine replacement therapies and short-acting. So, through some of the services that Brooke mentioned, or through your doctor, or through me, if you're a youth in high school, or one of my colleagues in high schools, we work with youth and can offer NRT as part of the box of tools in their toolkit to quit. And we don't recommend vaping as a way of quitting smoking. It's not an approved, FDA approved way, cessation aid to quitting. And we would recommend using nicotine replacement therapies that are approved. It could be a patch, it can be a gum, a lozenge, a spray. It's a cleaner version of nicotine without the chemicals that come with vapes and cigarettes. So again, to help manage cravings. Yeah.
That is excellent. There's help out there to be able to deal with it. I can't believe our time is up. It's gone so fast. I want to thank both of you for being on the program today. I've certainly learned, and I'm sure that the messaging is so critical. Thank you for what you're doing in helping people to quit with smoking and also vaping. I want to thank our viewing and listening audience today as well for joining us here on HealthLink. Please join us again to learn more about programs, resources, and services available to you and to your family. Take care.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
We invite you to play What's My Line?
Welcome, Mrs. Baker. Those folks over there need to guess your extraordinary occupation.
Are you an entertainer, Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Do people come to watch you, perform?
Yes.
Do you travel for work?
Yes, I do.
Do you ever wear a special type of costume?
Yes.
Is your job, physical?
Yes, indeed.
Are you a member of a team?
Yes.
Are you a professional baseball player?
Yes, I am.
Created during the Second World War, the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League included 68 Canadians. One of its brightest stars was my mother, Saskatchewan's Mary Bonnie Baker, a pioneer for women in sports.
Here are 3 reasons why your social strategies should include Rogers TV. Reason number 1 is we have hyper-local audiences. The community TV channel gives you a chance to engage with people where you live, so you really get to know your neighbors and they get to know you. Reason number 2 is we can help diversify your distribution. With social media, it's really important to be able to have a wider audience, and Rogers TV can actually help complement your online presence by delivering to a different audience. And it's actually really easy to repurpose your existing content or to just create new material specifically tailored for community TV. And finally, reason number 3 is we can help enhance your credibility and your trust. And by aligning your brand with Rogers TV, you can tap into that trust that viewers have. This can boost your reputation, especially among viewers who favor local businesses and value community involvement. 1, 2, 3. It's that easy to build your local audience with Rogers TV.
As I looked upon the battlefield in front of me, a German star shell lit up the desolate landscape. I watched as a bullet smashed through the bridge of my nose and left me to the mercy of the darkness. I worried I would be dependent on others for the rest of my life. But Sir Arthur Pearson and the staff of St. Dunstan's had other plans. With their help, I knew I could be self-reliant, and I wanted to bring this idea home to Canada. I wanted Canadians to know that we could hold jobs, that we could contribute, that regardless of sight, all would read, that we, the blind, would shape our own lives, our own destiny.
Blinded by a sniper's bullet in 1915, Edwin A. Baker went on to co-found the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, shaping a path forward for the blind across Canada for generations to come.
I love being a champ.
I am a member of the Warham's Child Amputee Program. Through CHAMP, I get the artificial limbs I need to